There we go. One more time. Hey, everybody, Kent Marts here from Amazon, from Explore Scientific here on Amazon Live. I'm with Dr. Daniel Barth. He's going to be my sidekick today while we talk about how do you know, that's the name of his show. And right off the bat, Dr. Daniel Barth has a new book out. It's called Star Mentor. And Daniel, tell everybody watching what this is about.
You know, everybody who purchases a telescope or a pair of binoculars, they go out the first night, they look at the moon, and then they go out the second week and they're looking around and saying, what do I do next? I wish I had somebody here who would teach me how to use my telescope and binoculars, how to learn the sky, how to read a star map, what other things can I see? I've been an astronomy and physics instructor now, Kent, for a long while. This is my 46th year in the classroom.
And he started when he was 4.
Yeah, I did. This book is a compilation of activities that I've used to teach students astronomy at all levels from 3rd grade on up to college. And it basically puts the teacher in your pocket. It's also for people who already know how to use a telescope, because Kent, you know a telescope is a party in a box.
It is. You set a telescope out on your sidewalk in front of your house, people are going to stop.
People are going to stop.
Cars will pull over. Yes.
And people will come up and they will start asking you questions because they assume you own a telescope. You must know stuff. Won't you tell us?
That's
and
right.
the questions come bubbling out. This basically, and I know a lot of people who have a telescope and they say, but oh my God, these people come up and they want to know everything. They ask me questions, and what do I tell them? What do I do? How do I start them out? And here you go, right here, folks. Whether you want to be a teacher, a mentor, and people are asking you about your telescope, or whether you've bought your telescope and you don't have access to a teacher or a mentor to help guide you, this book is your way to learn the sky. And it's graduated episodes. It's set up that you can dip in anywhere, or you can start on page 1 and work your way through, but it's not really written like a textbook. It's one person who reviewed it said it's like a conversation with an old friend. I really appreciated that because I wanted to write it to make it accessible to everybody, and I wanted to assume nothing. You have no experience, you're just starting out, you have simple, basic equipment, like you've seen here on the Amazon Live show, not like you have big, fancy, computerized, multi-$1,000 equipment. I wanted to write this for the person who's got their very first telescope, their very first pair of binoculars, and they're just starting out, parent and child, you know, whether that's mom and children or dad and children, going out. And how many of us have either received a telescope or a pair of binoculars as a gift at Christmas time or birthday, or have kids where we've given one as a gift, and then the kids go, cool, we can do this together, can't we, Mom and Dad? And you're like, sure. And you run up against your limits really quickly. This book is something you can do together, parents and children together, friends can do together, go out at night, and fall is the most wonderful time. The skies are clear, the temperatures are moderate, and you can go out and just start learning the sky and learning how to track objects, how to find things, learn what you're looking at. Oftentimes, Ken, I'm sure you've had the same experience. Somebody comes up and, wow, is that a telescope? And you say, yes, it is. Okay. And they immediately put their eye up, and then they ask you, what am I looking at? Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I've always felt as an astronomy teacher, the more knowledge we bring to the telescope, the more value and enjoyment we take away from it. And this is a way to prepare yourself and know what you're doing.
So don't be afraid, though, to say, I don't know.
No, never.
I mean, you know, don't make it up. Don't try and fudge it. You know, if you have a little bit of knowledge, say, well, I've got a little bit of knowledge and this is what I understand. That's awesome. But, you know, if you're looking at Saturn, you should be able to say, I'm looking at Saturn.
Yes.
And what moons are those? I don't know. I'm not that deep into this yet.
And you can learn from the book how to find out.
Hey, we got a follow from Kerlol. Thank you, Kerlol, for the follow. We appreciate that very much.
Glad to see you here.
Yes, and if you have any questions, you can ask those questions here on the chat function. We love the questions come in about what we're talking about any, you know, astronomy or science technology. We love to talk about that.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, to tell you who Dr. Daniel is, he works for the University of Arkansas's Department of Education, teaching the teachers how to teach astronomy.
The program I run is called Astronomy for Educators. The thing is, my students mostly want to be K through 8th grade educators. Once in a while I get a high school educator, but mostly they're K-8. And mostly they say, I didn't like science that well as a student, as a youngster. And they come in and I show them how to learn hands-on, have fun, and how to make it fun for their students going forward. And that's really important.
You can't overstate that.
No. So many of them have said, oh, my science class was read the book, watch the video, answer the questions on the worksheet, and every 2 weeks there was a lab, follow the instructions exactly like it's Betty Crocker making brownies, and write your answer in the little teeny box, and if it wasn't precisely right, you're wrong. And I try to tell my kids the main thing we want to do as educators is we want to develop an attitude of, yes, I can, in our students. And that's what Kent and I want to do here on this program. We want you to say, yes, I can.
We Dr. Daniel and I are a nonprofit together named NWA Space, and we do science demonstrations out at public events and stuff. And we need to appoint him the chief showman or something like that. Give Dustin the title of chief showman.
He's amazing.
He'll tell people, and don't worry, there's no wrong questions except the one. There's no wrong answers except the ones that are wrong. And that's a pretty darn good sort of attitude. Is you have to be able to ask questions to find out the answer to what you don't know. Right. And if you're scared to ask questions because they're outside of the realm of the curriculum, then you're not really teaching people. You're not able to go where their knowledge needs to expand.
I try to tell everyone in my classes that it's not about getting a right answer. It's about going through the process and becoming a little smarter and a little more experienced as you go. It's about enjoying your time out in the dark or with a microscope looking at a bug or with a small binoculars scanning the constellations. It's about enjoying your time and learning a little bit. It's about the process. It's not about the product. It's not about, oh, right answer, wrong answer. My students come up, oh, I don't think my sketch of the moon is very good. Well, tell me what you drew here. And they'll say, oh, this is a Maria, and this is a crater, and this one is called the Sea of Tranquility. I'm going, well, that's right, and that's where the astronauts landed in 1969. Really? Yes, and they don't know that because it's ancient history for them.
Yes.
But I'm like, now.
You're not grading their artwork.
No.
You're grading the knowledge their artwork
Did you engage
them.
In the process? Did you get out in the dark with your equipment and enjoy yourself and learn some new stuff and explore? And can you share with me what you saw? That's a win. Victory.
Absolutely.
Victory.
All right, so let's jump into the show. Now we've talked about Star Mentor. Pick them up over in the carousel right now. You can go over there, click on the carousel. It's the featured item. Should be at the top of your carousel right now.
And leave us a review.
Oh, absolutely.
On Amazon,
leave us a review on Amazon. That is a fantastic way. Amazon lives and dies by the review in many respects. And those reviews are very important.
And it's a great way to support our program here, too.
Absolutely, for sure. So we're going to move on. Dr. D, let's talk about
one of my favorites.
One of these fun little things right here. Now, this is a small, not expensive kit. Oh, let me get that out of the way. Just chunking on the floor. This is the Discovery 900 Power Microscope, okay? So this microscope, we'll talk about the microscope in a minute. I want to talk about the stuff that comes in the kit, and then we'll talk about the microscope. Daniel, it comes with a hatchery, so you can hatch out brine shrimp. This comes with brine shrimp eggs, which you and I, we've talked about this before.
Sea monkeys.
In Boys Life, sea monkeys. Boys Life is where I saw them. Did you ever?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so sea monkeys, you can make salt crystals. It comes with red and blue dye, food grade dye. You can drink it and do an experiment on what happens when it comes through your system. But it won't hurt you any because it's literally
It's like Easter egg dye, y'all.
Yeah,
it's like the dye you use for frosting for cupcakes.
Exactly. And once I said, you can do an experiment with your kid. If he drinks it, he or she, they drink it, we can find out what happens when you drink that stuff after a little while. Comes with a Petri dish. You can use the dies to make your own cuttings, so you can make your own prepared slides.
Yes.
It comes with slides, some prepared slides and some blank slides, as well as some tweezers and beakers and things like that. Now let's get in to the heart of this system, which is this microscope. All right.
And this is lovely. And a lot of times we're concerned as parents and as teachers when we buy equipment that we're going to get something that's, fantastic, plastic, cracks, falls apart. Guys, this is almost all metal. The base is all metal. The swing arm is metal. Some of the molded components here are a heavy-duty plastic, but an awful lot of this is structurally cast metal. It's very, very solid. And this is, frankly, a better quality product than stuff that I have taught with in 6th grade and middle school. And I've seen some nicer things in like a high school or a college biology lab, but frankly, this has enough capability that you could do anything any high school laboratory would do up through advanced biology. You could certainly do it with this, and it features both a mirror and a light, and the little LED light turns on automatically. I like the mirror. Frankly, I like to use this during the daytime or where I've got access to a window.
The natural sunlight coming in.
The natural sunlight, the full spectrum light coming through is going to really do a great job illuminating your slide and your specimen. But it's got both for you. And the little light runs on a small battery that's
Two double A's
that are easy to replace. And we have a stage here, and you'll notice our stage is fixed, which is really nice because it's very rigid. One thing with poorly built microscopes is the head stays the same and the stage runs up and down. When you do that, the stage tends to get wobbly, and it's like trying to point something and it's got tremors and it wiggles and it wobbles and it's terrible.
Same with the telescope.
Same with the telescope. This here has a really nice smooth rack and pinion system, and it's got plenty of friction that when you let it go, it stays.
It stays. That's
if you've
exactly
ever
right.
used something where you focus and then you let it go and it slips.
And it doesn't have to take, but just, you're looking at
no.
the depth of field is 1/10,000th of an inch.
It's very tiny, and so
if it moves a wee bit.
When you're using something like this, folks, you have to realize you start on the very lowest power, you focus, you run slowly, you start all the way up, and you run down, and you're going to realize, oh, I just blew past focus. And you're going to realize, oh, I need very, very tiny movements.
If you turn it too fast, most people think it's like focusing a camera and see it come into focus. The reality is, if you turn it that fast, you're never even going to see it.
Nope.
It's going to come in out of focus so fast. Talk about, real quick, how you change the power. Would you do that?
Okay. You back off a little bit because you realize that the objectives here are different lengths, and you simply rotate through, and they click in, and there's a little place on top. This indicates this turret is 400x, and I've got 900x, and then I go back and I've got 100x.
So Dr. D, you want to start at the highest power because, man, that's why we all want to see everything at the very highest power, right? That's where we're going to start,
Common beginner
right?
mistake, Kent. Common beginner mistake.
Really?
Whether you're using telescope, binocular, microscope, anything with an adjustable magnification, you want to use, first of all, the lowest power that will actually show you what you want to see, because the lowest power is going to be the sharpest, brightest image.
Right.
We trade magnification for brightness. We trade magnification for brightness, friends. And so we want to start on the lowest power, get everything focused, make sure what we want to see next is right in the center of our view, and then we can rotate up. We can go from 100 to 400x.
But why not just go to 900? Because it's centered up.
Well, 900x and trying to find your target is like trying to read a magazine through a soda straw.
Very good.
You've got such a tiny little field of view. You want to start with that big field of view, center your object. Okay, now I'm 400x, now I'm 900x, and you realize at 900x, if you have to move the slide, it's going to be like zoom, zoom. You want to try to get everything centered on low power first before you
So it's
go
like
up.
going from 20 power to 40 power to 80 power on a telescope.
It is.
You know, it's
It is
exactly the same thing. You
It's
always
exactly
start out
at the
with
lowest
power. Okay, so here's a broad bean leaf.
Oh, lovely.
Go ahead and put that old broad.
Okay.
So the stage has a little hole in it, right? The stage
Right,
is where
has
you
a
put the
little hole.
slide.
And we want to, I'm going to go ahead and look in through here.
You
And
might be able to use the LED.
yeah, I think.
Now focus it all the way down. And I'll tell you from experience with this microscope, it comes into focus almost instantly. I mean, you're looking at a third of a turn. You're on 400x.
Okay. I'm breaking my own rule here, kids.
No, you didn't realize it.
Okay, there we go. Now I'm seeing something.
Slide this over the center a little bit more.
Okay.
Center it up some. There
Bring
you
it
go.
over to the center.
There you go.
That's good. And
So once you find it, you can just move it around.
there we go. There we go. There we go.
Yeah. And I tell people, look at the slide. This slide has got a lot of green in it. So you're looking for the color green.
Yes.
And when you find it, you can move it around to the
Oh,
edge.
and I'm seeing cells now at
Yep.
100x.
Right?
I'm seeing individual cells, and I'm starting to see some structures inside the cell.
And like anything else, the longer you look, the more you see.
Correct. And now I'm popping up to 400x, and at this power, I need to refocus and readjust. And now I'm seeing some structures inside of cells, friends.
Tiny, tiny, tiny little things.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
very
right,
small.
right.
And at this point, I can adjust and move it through. Like I said, a couple of things: more light, the better. And secondly, not only the more light, the better, but starting at the lowest power and centering your target and then increasing gradually, you'll find that you use 100 power many times more often than you use 900 power.
900 is almost hard to use because
900 is,
it's-
you need a very good specimen that's very well prepared. It's very thin because 900 cuts a lot of light. And so if you've got something, this broad bean leaf has some thickness to it, 900x, it's not going to let enough light through to see anything.
So talking about light, this stage has a filter wheel on it right here.
Yes, it does.
And this filter wheel has holes in it with different colored lenses.
Right.
So it's just white light, and then yellow, red, blue, and there was a green one here, but it's fallen out. So
Okay.
because they're not made to be out like this, so it fell out. It also has tiny little holes in there
That will restrict your aperture.
that will make it smaller. So if your light is too bright,
Correct.
you can make it less light and less light. Mike Overacker, hello, Kent and Dr. Dan. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate the shout out.
I see Noah Menard has joined us for a bit.
Oh,
Appreciate-
that's Noah right over there.
That's Noah right over
That's
there.
Noah. Noah's in the marketplace. He's the marketplace Menard is my nickname for him.
Oh, no.
So he doesn't despise that nickname very much. It's a fairly
He
good.
likes it.
Better than a disemboweled voice.
That's true. That which you just may have heard was the disemboweled voice. So the disemboweled voice is also the disembodied voice because it's just this voice that comes from on high, and that's of the director Paul Newton. So you can change the colors, but why would you want to change the colors? This is a green slide. Why would I want to change the color? Because it's green. Why put red on it?
You find that if something is green, it's because it's knocking out all colors except green. And the other thing is, oftentimes, Kent, when we're looking through something, if you're looking through, say, a fly's wing, which is very thin, almost transparent, you'll find that there are structures in there that will appear when we use different colored filters and lights. So if we take a look at this, you may remember, if you're an old enough guy, you remember those things? You looked at them with a piece of red plastic filter and a green or a blue plastic filter, and you saw different pictures.
Right.
This is much the same. Different colors will reveal different features to you.
Right.
So being able to select your color of light, and to some extent, friends, because it's science, we don't know what's going to happen. It's an experiment for us to try looking at it with different colors of light. And not every experiment we try is going to be successful, but sometimes we're going to go and change the light, change the experience, and discover something new and really kind
And
of
all of a sudden,
exciting.
something you couldn't see, suddenly, bam, there it is.
There it is.
Now, one quick feature I want to talk about real quick is this is not fixed at this angle. this allows you to tip it to whatever angle is comfortable for you, or in this case, you might be able to tip it and orient the light and get better light reflecting up in there off of the studio light.
That's right.
I can see that. Is that in there right now? I can.
Yes, it's nice and bright.
Is it nice and brighter than with the light?
When you're doing this with the mirror, friends, you want to go through here and you just turn the mirror, and at some point, there you go. It lights up and you realize you've got the perfect angle. And when it lights up, boom, then you know you've got the right place to view.
So Michael says he's enjoying a chocolate jello pudding ice cream milkshake. That sounds like a science fair project, doesn't it?
You go, man.
Chocolate jello pudding ice cream.
I'd have to go out and run 2 miles after that.
Oh, it's probably low sugar. There's no sugar, no carbs in that. There's no carbs in that.
Then there's no fun.
That's right. Carbs are where the fun's at. All right, so we're going to switch to a microscope. And we took some pictures last week that maybe Paul has access to through the eyepiece. We didn't struggle. It was fairly easy after we experimented.
Well, I would think you could do with a cell phone.
We did. The problem was
easy.
it kept trying to switch lenses, or camera lenses, and so I had to deal with all those. So this is the Explore One 20 power stereo microscope. So it's got a little LED light that comes on that lights up the stage. Now, this microscope is different than the one we just looked at, Dr. D, because the one we looked at had light that shines up through the slide so you can see the
and that
cells.
assumes you've got a really thin slice of something.
This is designed to look down on top of stuff like coins and bee wings and bee eyes, and in this case we have rock samples that come with it and some prepared slides.
Indeed.
And we'll get those pictures up here in just a minute and show you some of these rocks we took pictures of.
Because this is designed with both eyes, binocular vision, it actually shows you a three-dimensional picture.
Absolutely.
A monocular microscope, you don't get any sense of depth. And in fact, its field of focus is very tiny, so you don't get any sense of depth. This one is designed with a fairly big field of view, so that when you put a rock sample or a leaf or a bug or something you've found, and you look through, and wow.
This is
lovely. Now I'm looking at...
It says a plant fossil. I think these are all out of order.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
You've got some kind of a mineral crystal?
Looks like a crystal of some sort.
And we need our friend Dr. Catherine Auld here to tell us about
I need to have her identify these for us, yes.
Yeah, but we've got a lovely blue crystal, and I can look down and I can see things embedded in the crystal. I can see its shape. I can see its texture, and it's amazing. The view is just stunning.
There's a picture. That is this sample. That's a picture of this sample that you can see, and the lights, really bring out pieces of it. So, Paul, roll through some of those samples real quick, and it takes a little time to get these queued up. All right, let's go. Let's pick which one you want to look at.
Oh, let's take a look at some of the...
that red one. This is shale, it says.
I think it's pink granite.
I think it's either that or maybe some Churty limestone.
Here we go. And different...
Okay, so he's currently, look at the slide we've got up right now. It looks like a blob, but that is actually a human sperm smear. So why would you want to talk about that? Well, you want to talk about reproduction and things like that, and that's part of it.
This has got to be a granite because I can see the...
Can you see grains in it?
I can see grains in it. I can see the dark, which is probably opaline, and it looks like there may be some metallic elements on one edge, or it may be a pyrite. But yeah, these are igneous. This is definitely an igneous rock, and very cool.
Yeah. There's another sample right there we're looking at as well.
That looks like an onion skin.
Yeah, that's the onion skin.
And you can see in that, folks. You can see.
That's taken with the biologic microscope.
The biologic microscope.
This is the biologic microscope one right here. So is the human.
And you can see
sperm
cell nuclei. You look into some of those cells, you can see little nuclei, and that's really fascinating.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be able to look with both eyes.
It is.
Because that binocular vision it just
So much
adds,
more comfortable.
You know, I've started saying when we were up at the Nebraska Star Party, not we, I, and 300 other people were at the Nebraska Star Party.
I didn't get to go to that
We were
one.
looking through the giant binoculars, our 120 millimeter binoculars. There's another biologic sample right there.
Yeah.
And experienced observers had never looked through big binoculars before. We're talking about two 5-inch diameter telescopes beside each other. There's the rock sample you were looking at right there.
There you go.
And that's the rock sample. The probably granite is what.
It's a pink granite.
Yeah. So we were looking through them, and experienced observers came up and looked at this and said, man, I can see so much more.
Yes.
And you'd think that if you went with 2 eyes, you'd see twice as much. But I think, I don't know what the number is, but your brain is engineered to see with 2 eyes. And when you see with 2 eyes, your brain takes the signal from both eyes and synthesizes it into more information than each eye is getting by itself.
I've been researching this. I'm working on a new book called Begin with Binoculars.
Yeah.
And actually, looking with both eyes gives you an effective 40% increase in aperture.
A
5-inch aperture binocular is like, with both eyes, is like looking through a 7-inch refractor.
See, I've said it's like...
Your brain also processes edges and edge definition, and the resolution improves.
Yeah, I've always said, they were like, you think you'd be able to see twice as much, but it's really like you can see 3 or 4 times as much.
It's
you know,
an incredible improvement.
it's an incredible improvement. All right, Mike says, Overracker says, is it good for viewing meteorite slices?
Oh, yes, it certainly would be.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Paul, you've got the coin. Let's look at the penny. It's always good to show people what 20x looks like, because with this rock sample, you can't really get it. But we have a picture of a penny we took through this that shows you an American penny. So if you've ever seen a Abraham Lincoln penny, you know, you're going to be able to see what it is.
I have a fun meteorite collection at home where I actually have a slice of a Martian meteorite, and I have a piece of a lunar feldspar.
I guess you're coming back next week then, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll come back another time, and I'll bring those through, and we'll make some photos before the show.
Right, we'll get some pictures.
And I'll show people.
All right.
Because that's lots of fun.
While he's getting the penny up, we're going to switch something real quick
Okay.
to the last item we're going to talk about today. And this...
The rock tumbler. I had one of these when I was a kid.
A rock tumbler from Explorer 1. So, let me see if I can just pull it all out in one fell swoop.
Wow.
I didn't get it all. It comes with a bunch of stuff, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, so
Let's turn it around here so
this
people
is the
can.
rock tumbler from Explorer 1. There you go. This is a handy-dandy, cool thing if you want to learn about geology, want to polish some minerals and things like that. This is a great kit to start with. If your kid's interested in rocks, or if your adult is interested in rocks, the Explorer 1 Rock Tumbler Kit is right down their alley. It comes with the tumbling chamber. You can put rocks in here, and you follow the directions in the booklet, and use the number 1, high grit.
Step 1, step 2, and then there is a step 3, and finally a step 4.
And so what happens? What are these? This grit, right?
Grain size.
Right.
If you're familiar, friends, with using sanding paper, you go from a 100 grit to a 200 to a 400, 800, 1,000, 2,000. And it's the exact same process here. And the finer the grit, the smoother the polish, and you end up with something that looks shiny and very beautiful.
So we take these rough rocks like we got in this bag.
Correct.
I need to get a Ziploc bag, cut that open, and show what they turn into. But these right here, I think you can see that on the close-up.
Yeah.
They turn into these beautiful stones, greens and pinks, and look at the different occlusions in there, different materials down in there.
That's right.
It comes with a little thing of glue and a little packet right here of jewelry starter outer stuff. Yes.
Jeweler's Rouge? Or no, jeweling kit. Jeweler's kit.
Comes with a keychain, 3 setting holders, an 18-inch silver tone necklace chain, adjustable rings, a pair of earring wires, and a jump ring connector. This allows you to start making your own jewelry with the Explorer 1 rock.
And you turn
tumbler
regular
set
rocks into semi-precious stone.
into these things. They're just beautiful rocks. And what it does is the grit, and there's some pictures right there. The grit you're seeing now, the grit just starts smoothing them down. And after the period of it running, you add more to it, you change the grit out, and it just keeps getting them smoother and smoother and smoother. And Dr. D's phone started ringing, so he's gone over to bang on it. So he's going to slide back in. And that brings us close to the end of the show. We want to thank you for watching. If you're out there right now, we'd love for you to give us a shout out. We love hearing from the people that are watching the show. If you have any questions real quick in the next few seconds, we will be happy to try and answer them. And while we're doing that, a good friend of mine has walked into the studio here. Hey, Paul Anderson, come over here. Here's Paul Anderson. He lives here in Northwest Arkansas.
Make room for you right here.
Come over here, step in here, and I'm going to pull the microphone out. Paul is a great friend of mine. I consider him one of, step this way just a little bit, Paul. I consider Paul one of my dads, if you will. He really, my dad got me started in my interest in astronomy, but Paul walked into my office one day at the newspaper, the industry I grew up in, and said he wanted to start an astronomy club. And boy, I said, sure, we can do that.
We've been doing that for years.
Yeah, 20 years now.
I'm losing my voice.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I just want to get Paul in front of the camera.
I've known Kent for 25 years.
25 years now. And I'm basically, I would clearly say I'm standing here today in front of you because of Paul Anderson. Had Paul not walked into my office that day, I would probably not be standing here. It's weird how
we would have
little
found
things.
You.
Yeah, but if that hadn't happened, the whole sequence of events that led to me doing star parties at Hobbs because of the astronomy club we formed.
Nebraska Star Party. We had so much fun there.
Yeah, so it really is.
So Paul is your star mentor?
Paul would be my star mentor along with my dad. Absolutely. And he's the one, I mean, without Paul, I never would have met Scott Roberts, never would have got offered a job at customer service, and now be the dealer manager. It's just weird how things work out. So,
it is. For the better.
Yeah, for the better.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Don't forget, go over in the carousel right now, pick up the Star Mentor book, and while you may not have somebody in your life like I had Paul, the book is going to serve that purpose, and maybe you too can become a mentor for somebody else out there.
Absolutely.
Now, sitting here looking at the monitor, I am awful red today because I umpired 4 baseball games Sunday, and it was nice. No, it was nice.
No, it's him.
It was nice and cool and misty, and I had my pullover on. And for the last 2 games, I took it off and didn't think about using. Well, let's just say I was exposed to nuclear fusion just a little bit, and stood way too close to the nuclear reactor, the fusion reactor, that we also know as the sun. Mike Overacker. Hello, Paul, from the Star City Astronomy Network. That's from Mike Overacker, Paul.
That's great.
So anyway, we're going to wrap this up. We got to get on down the road. Dr. D has more shows to do, and so we're going to wrap this up. Get over the carousel, pick yourself up some stuff. If you haven't had time to browse, go to the Explorer Scientific Store here on Amazon.
Absolutely.
And look at the array of science, education, astronomy, binoculars, all sorts of stuff out there.
All sorts of good
that
stuff for
will
you.
answer your questions of how do you know. Thank you very much for showing up.
Thank you, Kent.
And we will see you next
We'll
week.
be
I
again
hope.
soon.
Awesome, very much. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
You